Hello and welcome to the ooze.tv. My name is Spencer Burke, your host for ThinkFwd. In this week's episode, I sit down with Phyllis Tickle and we talk about the hyphenated church, how the emergence has happened in denominations. I invite you to go to the ooze.tv, download the show notes along with the questions and answers. So if there's leadership in your church or if you're part of a denomination, I think this would be a great discussion starter. I hope you enjoy this week's episode here on the ooze.tv. One of the things I'm really interested in is the hyphenated church. You know,
yes, the ability,
yeah, exactly. The ability to be both and rather than either or.
Organize your schizophrenia. That's all it takes.
Exactly. But in a sense, the tradition informs us. We can be passionate about certain topics and ideas, and the potential of new hyphenated.
Yeah.
So wherein does the hyphenated church go to it? Yeah.
You know, I wish I knew the answer to that. No, because I think obviously we don't know yet what emergence Christianity is exactly. And I think I had a better sense 18 months to even Gibson Folger, who are the demographers, as you know, par excellence of this movement, said not long ago in a Fuller Seminary journal, I think in the fall of '08, said that they were not aware of this until about 4 years ago. Before, I was only aware of it about 2 years ago because I honestly think I thought I was seeing what I wanted to see as a good Anglican who is fully emergent in every way, except that I'm Anglican. Right. I thought, okay, I'm seeing what I want to see. What I never realized is how they're going to affect emergence or emergent or emerging. And I don't think anybody knows right now, and I would be really suspicious if anybody said he or she did, exactly what that interface is going to be. Are we going to end up with something that's a kind of Congress, if you will, or council or whatever, Congress, of those who come strongly aware of their natal tradition and come into emergence bearing those gifts and change what emergence is so that its governance will never be denominational. It's not going to be. But what's that going to look like? Vis-a-vis, are we going to have emergence Christianity that is what I call pure emergence, whatever that means, I don't know either, and then have this kind of ring around it of Presby-mergence and Bapti-mergence and Method-mergence and Luther-mergence? I'm not sure yet, but I know that in December of '08, we had the first meeting in Memphis, the first meeting of hyphenateds, all coming together and meeting together for a morning and then worshiping together, and then in the afternoon going to their separate little niches. Luther-mergence went one way and Anglo-mergence went another, and then coming back for common worship after it was over. And it was really fascinating to see the dynamic. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell what that's going to be. And if you look at PCUSA, if you look at Presbyterian Church in the United States of America, it has so consistently understood that you could do a mixed economy, that the Presbyterian Church could survive and could have pure Presbyterian congregations, while at the same time supporting and making possible Presby-mergent ones. And they put money into it. They put imprimatur. Ray Anderson, who is now emeritus at Fuller, and whom I greatly admire, gives, I think he's got that book, Emerging Theology for Emergent Church, or something like that, I don't know. Anyway, in which he elaborates the image of the church in Antioch and the church in Jerusalem, and says that denominations, if they're smart, are going to recognize that they're the church in Jerusalem. And that emergence really is the church in Antioch. And that the church in Jerusalem had the obligation to hand the faith, to be the imprimatur, if you will, and to send Barnabas over to see what in the world they were doing over here in Antioch. And then Antioch, sends Paul and Barnabas back to Jerusalem to ask the blessing of the elders. But there was a tension. They were worried about circumcision. We're worried about gay rights, which people say has a certain anatomical similarity, but whatever. That's it. But they were worried about who can eat what, and over here, and who can eat, who could be a priest and who couldn't. Rabbi could be a priest, All of those things that are very familiar in many ways are very analogous to what we're going through now. I don't know how to reach out, or even if it can be done, or if it should be done. Maybe it is time for us to move, and for the denominations to become more clearly what they are, and emergence to become what it is, in the same way that Catholicism survived the Reformation and Protestantism took over hegemony.
More than enough room for both.
More than room for both. And 1,000 years before that, Orthodoxy went through the same thing, and we didn't destroy it, and Protestantism isn't going to die. The major gift of Protestantism to the culture in the West was universal literacy, because you can't have the priesthood of all believers and sola scriptura without without universal literacy. The other gift was divisiveness, huge divisiveness in this country, alone. There are 26,700 and some odd, I don't remember which, different Protestant denominations recognized by the IRS as distinct for tax purposes. That's divisiveness. Now whether you can bring all of those into a 21st century Council of Trent and make something out of them, I don't know, because we've never had that divisiveness before. We just have never had it.
And then the hope would be 5 years from now we have this conversation and to see what the possibility might be.
What it's going to be. If the scholars are right, and I suspect they're within the ballpark, sometime by 2050, emergence Christians are going to be they're going to be the largest body in this culture. Unless, and the thing we've not said all week, the thing that bugs me that we've not put in, we've left out two-thirds Christianity, two-thirds world. And let's face it, the West does not control Christianity anymore. And we're having this lovely conversation, but this conversation has to do with those parts of the world that were Christianized out of the Latin Christian tradition, as opposed to the Greek or the Syriac. And it bugs me that we want to talk about it only in terms of Christianity. Emergence is a phenomenon, and emergence Christianity is part of that phenomenon. And, the Reformation came along, and it gave us Protestantism, but it at least had the decency to give us two terms. This one is emergence, and it's emergence Christianity, which makes it sound like it's just the Christian church that's going through this up. Although we know in our own private lives that's not so. We perceive in our own private lives that we have gone through a paradigmatic shift. I hate paradigm shifts. They're such a cliche. But that, the whole thing just turned 90 degrees, and it's done it over the last 150 years. And science is a big part of the reason this time around.
The whole world has changed.
Of course it is. Absolutely. I talk to, you do, of course. You talk to the world every day, right? I talk to the world every day. It's a rare day I don't hear from Mark Brown in Australia.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so, in 5 years, let's have this conversation again.
In 5 years, I would love to have this conversation again. Because I'm not. I think you're correct that denominations only have about 18 months. I really do think you're correct about that. What that is going to mean in terms of what it looks like in 5 years, I'm not quite sure. But the window is open now, and it isn't going to be very short.